What's up, guys and girls? Today we're going to be talking about how there are fallacies to destiny. So a lot of people believe in destiny as something that's real. Like we're destined to do something with our lives. Like this man is destined to become the CEO of Microsoft, or this man was destined to become rich or make a difference in the world. There's some very clear fallacies with this idea of destiny that will just immediately blow it away. And I'm just going to go out and say it's really not something that requires a lot of debate or anything like that. I personally think these sort of fallacies just immediately blow up this whole belief system surrounding destiny. Think about all the people who have unfulfilled destinies, and all those people who have been unjustly killed or sacrificed. Now, one cannot argue that all these people were destined for death or destined to die how they died. A lot of them probably had unfulfilled desires, unfulfilled things they wanted to do in life. And there's multiple different cases of this spanning all spectrums of the earth. So just to be a little bit more concrete, think of all the babies who have died at either at birth or 1 year after they were born, 2 years after they were born. Think of all the toddlers who were healthy and then contracted some disease and died at 5. Can one really argue and say that they were destined for that death? And let's look at something more random, because one could argue, oh, these people had bad genetics and therefore in a way they were destined to die. What about all those random events that cause death? For every age of the rainbow, 1 years old, 5 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, any age you can think of, any gender, any ethnicity, there has been someone who has died from some random event. Whether it is being struck by a car, whether it is robbery and then someone shooting you, whether it is something like cancer, these sort of things happen, and one cannot say that they were all destined to just die like that. It's very unjust in a lot of ways. Then let's think about people of older ages, say 50, 60, 70, down to 1, 2, 10, 20, any age you can think of. All these people have experienced something traumatic, such as the Holocaust. Holocaust happened in World War II. A lot of Jewish people, probably every age group you could think of, were shuttled into these concentration camps, and they were either starved to death, they were worked to death, or they ended up contracting some disease and being incinerated. And they were having horrible living conditions and so forth. They were discriminated against and treated horribly, and one cannot say that they were destined for that life. It's just so unjust to think about that. So to subscribe to destiny and believe in that also implies that you believe in the darker side of destiny, which is that all these people were destined for these horrible consequences in life, which I think is very, it doesn't make sense at all to me, because what about all those random events? You're literally saying that you were destined to be deleted off of existence before you reached your personal goals in life due to random chance. That was your destiny, to not fulfill your life goals before some random chance event took you out of the race. And therefore, I think the ultimate message behind all of this is that you should be grateful for every day, and you shouldn't act like you deserve every single day of your life, or that you're destined for something like that. I feel like people who subscribe to this notion can easily fall into this state of lethargy where they don't search to accomplish stuff. So for me, I like producing these videos, and I feel like they help bring about education. They help stir your thinking gears, rather than people going out to play video games or something that might rot your brain. They could watch these videos. They could be intellectually stimulated, and so that's one of my goals in life, is to put out these videos. And one can argue that literally you don't deserve a destiny. Some people will say something like, "Oh, my destiny is to become a Nobel Prize winner or a famous actor." You're not born out of the womb deserving something like that. And to think that from the moment you are born, some godly force has already determined your fate and chosen it, that's quite absurd, because that's literally implying that a lot of people have had very unjust fates. And more so than that, though, back to the whole main point of this message, I think it's very important to literally understand what's going on and not fall into a sort of lethargy where you're like, oh, destiny is just something we're all a part of. It can't be controlled. It can't be changed. Therefore, I really won't do anything, or no matter what I do, I'll eventually get there. That's not really going to help you. And I think overall, on top of just falling into a state of lethargy, I really think that a lot of people, people who are very successful in many walks of life, have realized that what they are doing is all just for themselves. They don't, it's not like they were born out of the womb and each day that they're given is deserved. It's not like, oh, if you don't get these amount of years in your life, you can whine and complain all you want because you deserve all these years. A lot of people realize that, and then they seize every day and they make the most out of every single day, because they understand how it's not about destiny. You have to create your own destiny. You get to create your own fate, and you never know how long it's going to last. And again, just to add a few more examples, I think on top of babies dying early, think of all the people who have done all these amazing things and have never been renowned for them, at least when they were alive. So I gave two examples of this in one of my previous videos, but Picasso, was it Picasso? Van Gogh. Van Gogh's a very famous artist. Nowadays, each of his paintings can sell for tens of millions of dollars. However, we all know that Van Gogh cut off his ear out of depression. He suffered psychotic breakdowns, and he eventually killed himself out of depression. Think about that, and think about someone like Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, one of the most amazing musicians ever. His level of genius is incomprehensible until you have understood music to a very high advanced level. Literally, you have to understand music to that level to understand what a genius he was. Not always, like, but literally to understand how great of a genius he was to a detailed degree, to an advanced detailed degree. You can't fathom it until you've understood music to that level. But from a novice level, like you can kind of get the idea, like he was literally composing these grandiose masterpieces when he was just a little kid, when most little kids could were just playing on the streets. That's the sort of genius he was. But the point is, Mozart, he wasn't like paraded around town. Musicians were not these rock stars of the day back in the day. They were more like workers um, for the government or for the high class. And he was buried very normally, like common folk. And there's many other examples. There's an author who wrote many famous books. I think it was the author who wrote The Great Gatsby. Again, his books did not take off until after he died, and his whole life as an author was pretty much like ignored until his death. Like literally, these sort of things can happen, and it's tough. It's definitely tough to realize, but you kind of have to like work on realizing your own wealth or your own achievements and being proud of them. But more so than that, you really have to work towards making the most of every day, because literally this whole thing about destiny, like, oh, I'm destined to become the CEO of this company called Apple and create the iPod and iPhone and stuff like that. That's not true. Steve Jobs chose to do it. He decided to do it. He worked towards it, and he was lucky enough that he was able to accomplish a lot before he ended up dying. Um, it's not like you are given all this time and it's like it's something that everyone is given and they deserve it, and if they don't get it, you can whine about it and complain about it. That's not how it works. And there's many examples out there. There have been people at my school who have died. They've died at the age. They've died. I've known people who have died in high school, college, and there's probably people who have died in middle school, elementary school, and so forth. And a lot of these people were just very young, and one could argue that a lot of them didn't have a purpose. They were still young. They didn't really have any specific drive that they had decided towards, and they're just living life, and they were dealt the bad card, and they ended up dying. And I think this whole idea of destiny, like someone has already decided it, is ludicrous, because like what does that literally mean? Like it can mean like you can accept it, fall into a state of lethargy, end up accomplishing nothing, or you can deny it, not fall into a state of lethargy, do all these active things, accomplish a lot of things. And there you go, you have two different destinies based off your choice. And so this whole, I really do think that freedom of choice is in one way something that is in fact real, but at the same time it's all just based on personal interests, which in one way or other is bound by our biology as mammals, as highly evolved monkeys, you could say. So at the end of the day, I think that destiny isn't really something that's predetermined, more so calculated. It can be calculated. That's a different thing. I feel like you can sort of think generally of like what's possible for a mammal, and yet at the same time, with the advent of all these new technologies, there's almost infinite possibilities that we probably have not even fathomed. Like Steve Jobs, the iPhone, the iPod, who could have predicted that other than some high level advanced entity of some sort? And that gets into some crazy stuff. But that's all I really want to say. And yeah, I think ultimately the whole the whole message behind this video, if you get nothing else out of it, is a very simple idea that you can't really say that destiny is something that's out there and it's for everyone. And I personally would not prescribe to it if you know it will not benefit you. Be grateful for every single day and live it to the fullest. And that's really all I want to say. Thanks for watching. As always, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe.